Hear ye, and welcome to the Royal Geek Podcast. I'm your host tonight, Justin Sandoval, a.k.a. Sandy, and I am joined tonight by, well, actually, the other guys are not here. So, T-Roll's gone. He's doing something. He's busy or something. I don't know, whatever. His work got ahead of him. And Shamato got really busy with his job as well, and so I'm here alone. No, I'm just kidding. So we're reviewing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles tonight, so I thought it would be a brilliant idea to bring, I consider, an expert in the subject. And joining me tonight is Jordan Mosley. What's going on, man?
What's up, man? It's good to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. Like I said, you're a Turtles expert.
I think that's a little too far, but I'm a connoisseur of turtle.
Perfect. You say that, but then you come to this recording and you have on this awesome shirt.
Yep.
And if the viewers could see this right now, or the listeners could see this right now, they would see a perfect Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles shirt. It's a button down. It has every turtle on it, and it's amazing. And he's got the hat to go with it. So
it's the nostalgic. I think it's like 1988 bed sheets.
Yeah.
The ones I
Yes.
the ones I peed in as a child.
Perfect. Yeah. No, out to see. It looks like it's a bed. Like it could be a bed sheet for a kid. So that's amazing. I love it. So. This leads me to believe that you're an expert. So you hear that?
I'll take it.
Anybody comes on the show, wear a bedsheet looking shirt, and I got you. Okay, you're an expert. So anyway, it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. We're going to talk about a review a little bit later, but I thought it'd be a really good thing before we dive into this. Yes, you're a Turtles expert, but we are the Royal Geek Podcast. Is there other things in your life that you geek out about?
I mean, mostly sports. I'm a big sports geek. Love football. Georgia football, Atlanta United. That's something
that's right.
We share. Season ticket holder, founding member. It's I do dabble in anime, but it's one of those things. I don't tell people because some people are truly experts and I get exposed real quick.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny because you come on the Royal Geek Podcast and we actually have an anime edition episodes. Mm-hmm. So
I've listened and it was deep. So
so I don't want to expose you on here right now. No, I'm just kidding. But that's great, man. That's awesome to know. I forgot about the credential that you have for being a Turtles expert. He's also got a tattoo on his leg of Raphael.
Yeah. A cowabunga tattoo with Raphael. I've got to get some touch-up work done on it, but it's probably my favorate tattoo I have.
That's
my wife's least favorite, the one that I have.
Of course, always. I love it, man. I love it. So, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has been a huge thing in part of my life, and I'm sure for you as well. Yep. It's been honestly, it was probably one of the first couple things that really hooked me into this cartoon / geek world. Yeah. I think for me it was probably Power Rangers, Batman, and Ninja Turtles. Honestly, for me. And
weirdly enough, the Turtles collaborate with all of them.
Yeah, that's right.
All of those.
Good point. That's a great point because honestly, the animated film a couple years ago, Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, one of the best animated films I've seen in a while. It was awesome, solid. Oh, yeah. And the weirdest crossover you could never imagine. But then the Power Rangers one, back in the day, I think it was Power Rangers in Space. I think it was. Yeah.
And then they've come out with, I think, two different
comic series.
Yeah, two comic series. The second one just came out.
Yes. See, so it's rightly so that those would be a foundation for me personally. But so I was a huge fan of the cartoon growing up, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then obviously the 90s movies it hooked me for sure. And we were talking off the pod about do they hold up? Yeah. And I really feel the first two hold up strong.
Oh yeah, the first two were solid.
Yes.
Watched them this week. I mean they hold up. I'll fight anybody on that.
Yes, I'm with you.
But then there's
the third one,
the third one, the forgotten one.
What do you think went wrong? Do you think they just tried to cater to the mainstream too much, or it was?
I don't know.
It was out there.
It was out there. They did some weird stuff with the costumes and the mouths and the personalities.
I
don't know. It was strange because they replaced characters throughout the first and second, and then they brought back characters and. Yeah, that one just didn't do it for me.
Yeah. Oh man, and I get what they were trying to do with obviously they're kung fu turtles, so why not bring them into a feudal Japan, right? Yeah. I guess I don't know where the samurai reign. But it was interesting. Interesting choice on their part, but I do think 1 and 2 still hold up. Like for me, the second one I enjoy more, but just barely, just like a hair more.
Yeah, I think the second one had a strong story. Then also like Shredder was awesome.
Oh
in that
my
one.
goodness, man! Shredder was he was honestly OP, like big time.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't even know how the Turtles came out on top on that one. Like they really they had their work cut out for them.
You had Super Shredder, you had the Ooze,
right.
which I thought was cool. Like that was the main driving storyline was around the Ooze.
Yes.
Obviously, Secret of the Ooze, but yeah, that one was great.
Yeah, and I feel like it kind of dived a lot more. It gave the fan base a little bit more respect by kind of showing the backstory a little bit more.
Yeah.
And treated us like we were actually intelligent in that one with
Yeah.
more of a story rather than like a fun punch kick movie like that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
and then it had Vanilla Ice.
Oh my
in it
god, which
in the end.
phenomenal.
Everyone just happened to know the turtle dance. They all knew the turtle rap
Instantly, right?
instantly.
Yeah.
Like it was just that good of a song.
That's and honestly, it holds up to this day. That song's
yeah.
still amazing. Like, why
Yeah.
would you not have that?
They
on
played
work?
it in
They
the-
did. They
in this
absolutely
one,
did.
yeah.
Yeah. There was playing in the car stereo.
Yeah,
on,
the callback.
Yep, so good, man.
Yeah.
There's a few callbacks in the new movie that we'll get to. We'll get to that. Yeah. What do you think about the newer movies that were made? The Michael Bay ones.
Well, honestly, I didn't hate them.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, man.
It was, they were not my first choice.
They were exactly what you expected, though, right?
Yeah. I mean, I watched. So there was the 2007 movie they came out with, the animated one.
Yes, there was that one.
That one's surprisingly good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that one. That
I
was
did too.
good.
TMNT. That's what
Yeah,
that
TMNT.
That's
That
it.
was good. Like that one was good.
Yep.
The Michael Bay ones, like, it's just different.
They were different.
But I mean, it gave off very like Transformer vibes.
It did. It felt. I mean, obviously, 100% CGI characters.
Yep.
I did like the personalities though. I really enjoyed them, especially like Raphael. I enjoyed him. I think it was like Alan Rickson, which he is currently he's playing Reacher on the Amazon series right now, and he was in Fast X. If you haven't seen Fast X, but he's in there too.
Yeah, they like I mean, you go to the earlier ones, like the first three, like you had like Andrew Dice Clay kind of like Raphael, like the incredibly Brooklyn personality, and like I felt like they kept exaggerating that. I did feel like in the Michael Bay ones, it was kind of, it was a little bit right down the middle.
Yeah,
it wasn't so exaggerated.
Yeah, that's a good point. It was more tame, but I mean, they definitely got the toughness aspect portrayed through Raphael, but I feel like there was maybe a little bit of his little more of his character missing in that portrayal in the new ones.
Yeah, definitely.
It's funny you say that. Like the earlier movies, they played up on the characters more and more as they went, but the Michael Bay one, they kind of were very consistent, like in them, which. I mean, I guess they could have played them up a little bit more, but they were going for more grounded, I guess.
Yeah, I think they were trying to, like, they weren't trying to give so many specialties. I mean, they did, like, Donnie had the goggles.
Yeah, which has
like,
been a huge transition in the comics, too, as well. Like, he's getting the more techie look.
Yep, and then, but other than that, they were all kind of the same.
Yeah, for the most part, which, we'll get to that in the new movie, but I do feel like they did take the time in the movie to kind of individualize each turtle, and I thought they did a pretty decent job of that. Yeah. Another thing, I'm sure you saw it. If you didn't, then I'll be shocked. But the newer released Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie based on the Nickelodeon show.
Yep.
You saw that?
I did. Yeah, I saw that. I didn't watch so much of the
series.
Show.
Yeah,
the series.
No, trust me, I'm with you. I didn't watch the series as much.
I want to, but with kind of the magic and stuff like that, it's just it's a different spin.
Yeah. That movie was solid, though.
Yeah, it's more animated style or anime style.
Yes, it is.
So I mean, there's a place for that.
Oh yeah.
Like I think that's one of my favorite things about Ninja Turtles is like my son will have a version of Ninja Turtles. Like this will be probably his version.
Yeah.
And then like this, somebody that grew up 10 years ago, like they have their version, and then I have my version, and like I just think it goes across. I mean. Was it 35 years old now?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that's a huge point there because I feel like if you're going to have an icon or a symbol, like for example, Batman. Every generation has their own Batman, right? Like
or multiple.
Or multiple. Yeah, exactly. Like for me, like Kevin Conroy, the animated Batman series is my Batman. Like that's what. But you'll talk to somebody else, and Michael Keaton's their Batman, or like that's awesome. That's a testament of the material and how it kind of drives the viewership.
It just stands up to time.
That's exactly.
That's why they keep going back to that well. I don't think they're necessarily like I don't think it's milking like a cash cow.
Mm-hmm.
I see it more of like just reinventing for the next generation.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with that, with the way that the Turtles have been handled. Like, I think that's perfectly fine. Like, there have been animated series that I did not watch in between the movies, but that's okay. Like, that's fine, because those weren't meant for me. Like, But I'm excited to see where they go from here, because I do feel like the new movie that came out, Mutant Mayhem, has the backing. Like, I mean, when you get a cast that has like Seth Rogen and Ice Cube, and it's being produced and stuff by Seth Rogen, they're taking this seriously, I feel like.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. And the tones in this movie kind of felt that way too. So.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so I do feel like that is probably a good transition. We'll get into the new movie. Let's go ahead and like dive in. This will be your spoiler warning. So if you do not want to hear anything about this movie because you haven't seen it yet, then pause it, go watch the movie, and then come back here, and we will have fun talking about this together. So there's your spoiler warning. So all right. Overall consensus of the movie, like your general reaction. What do you think, man? What do you think of the movie?
I loved it. I mean, it was like I was telling you before the pod, like it was what I wanted from it. Mm-hmm. I didn't go into it like with like this is going to be the best thing ever. I didn't actually watch all the trailers. Mm-hmm. I mean, I watched a few of them, but like I was trying to keep a level head going in and just not hype it too much.
Yeah, and especially like with an animated movie, like you don't really know what to expect. Like obviously Turtles are a foundation core to my childhood, so obviously that's 30 plus years ago now we're talking. And so we have a certain idea of what we think the Turtles should be.
Definitely.
So the more you watch the trailers and just being animated, you're like, okay, well, which generation are they going to cater to? Well, I thought this movie was fantastic because I think it did a good job of blending both worlds.
Definitely.
It fed the nostalgia that I have for the Turtles, and it also opened new creative things that they are going to try to do moving forward. I thought they did a really good job balancing that.
Yep. And I think that they did a really good job on, I mean, the storytelling. Mm-hmm. I thought was great. I didn't think that they went like too grand or too crazy, or you know, I thought the overall theme of the story and them trying to just be like accepted.
Yeah.
Like I felt like it. I mean, I felt like it was pretty pure.
Yes.
I didn't feel like it was pushing anything. I just thought it was a good movie.
And you know what kind of what honestly led to that feeling? Like you mentioned the word pure, and I feel like the fact that they had actual teenagers voicing the characters,
that was great.
It came through. It like you felt it. Like it was. They were innocent. They were like just trying to be a part of this world. Like obviously, like a typical teenager, I can remember so many years ago. Of you just want to be a part of something, right?
Yeah.
And they felt it because they were currently living it. Like that was a smart move on their choice.
Yeah, and I think like all the kids' voices were all different, but they weren't like we were saying Raphael. They weren't just like like he sounds like he's from Brooklyn. Yeah. Like all the kids sounded very different. They sounded, you know, where I guess it was like more believable. All these kids, like they're all just, I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, no, I get it because they each had their personalities they had to portray. And for example, like Michelangelo has always been like that goofball, right?
Yeah.
And I think they did a good job portraying that, but with like a little bit more, like he was more even keel. Like he was a goofball, you can tell, but he was not quite to that Michelangelo that we know yet. And I think that's fine because he's still growing. He's still trying to find out who he is. And I think that as a viewer, I could see that.
I couldn't tell like their ages. Mm-hmm. I guess I didn't think it into that much. Like,
they did the whole, I think it said 15 years on the screen. So I believe they were 15-year-olds.
But like, you know, like I guess in different iterations of it, like a lot of them, they're all the same age. But then there's some that are like, it's clearly like, oh, he's the oldest. Michelangelo's the youngest. Yeah. I don't think they played on that at all. And that's okay. It's just
perfectly fine. Yeah.
But like when they went to school at the end, it was like, okay, they're all just going to high school. But
which level, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, which was okay. I don't need that in a movie. I don't need to know who's the oldest or whatever. Course. But like I did like find myself trying to figure out just like by their voices, and like which one's older, which one's, you know.
And honestly, I think for me, it's Donatello sounded like he was the youngest. Just he had the higher pitch, squeaky.
I don't. Leonardo had a few like the voice
voice cracks.
It was great.
Which I
I've
did.
been there.
I did. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Which I did read that those were genuine squeaks, and they left it in because
Really?
yeah, they left it in. So that was great. It played into the characters. One thing I was worried about, I did know going into the movie that there were going to be several different mutants in the movie. I was worried that we were going to get the tale as old as time, as far as like too many villains in one movie. That many superhero movies have fell victim to that. But I really feel like they balanced it pretty well, and it wasn't too overwhelming. I actually enjoyed seeing some of these characters that I've read in comics and I've seen in cartoon shows like come to life right here in this first movie.
Yeah, I think like I would have liked to seen more of it, but I mean, I think if they would have, it would have ruined it.
Yeah.
So like I was happy with it. I wasn't like, man, that's way too many. But I did find myself like wanting more. Like I thought, like Post Malone.
Yeah.
Was Ray Fillet was awesome.
Yes,
that was,
it was.
so good. But yeah, I mean, it was cool. They were Paul Rudd, Mondo Gecko. Like that was.
I hope we see more of Mondo Gecko in the future because
Yeah.
he has been a character that I know I've read in the comics that has started to grow on me a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's just a tip of the iceberg of being introduced in this one movie, the first movie. But I really enjoyed Wingnut. Like, oh man, Wingnut visually kind of terrifying, to be honest with you.
Yeah, definitely.
But I enjoyed just seeing Wingnut in actual movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a character that you see a ton throughout.
Right.
I mean, the late '80s cartoon, like definitely in there. Video games kind of in there, but not like one that everyone would know.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think the first iteration was in a video game when Wingnut was introduced to me, at least, and then
so.
I eventually, I forget what comic series, like what storyline, but definitely for me it was in a comic book as well. But then I think, like I said, they did a good job balancing these villains, and I think the one disappointment I do have is that Bebop and Rocksteady didn't get enough time to shine. I do feel like they were kind of in the background, and for me, they've always been in the foreground. Like they've always been larger than life, like in your face, taking over whatever conversation that they're having or screen time that they're having. But they're always the scene stealers for me. Either it's cartoons, comic books, movies, TV show, like anything.
Well, they also like. I mean, were they technically like villains even in this?
I mean, technically they were just following Superfly, which
like that's what I found myself thinking, and I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah,
because like there's no, I mean, if you're changing up stuff in the universe of it, like nothing's off limits.
Right.
So like, I did like that. I like that they were on the good side for once.
Yeah,
and I enjoyed them not playing the typical, super loud and just wreck everything and. I thought it was a different play on it.
Yeah, but I feel like they can also set up for a turn at some point. Like
that's true.
Just how wishy-washy they were with their loyalty with Superfly, and then coming the Turtles. Like they just trying to figure out who they are as well.
Yeah.
And I do feel like they can probably lean towards the Shredder side later, maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think more dialogue from them would have been great too. Because like John Cena was Rocksteady, and I feel like we hardly got to hear him say any dialogue. So
one thing I did appreciate is like they didn't do the the token Seth Rogen laugh.
Oh yes, yes. That's true.
I'm sorry, I just can't stand it.
I can't stand it either.
I can't stand it. Like I like the guy, I can't stand it. But like in every, I know in Super Mario.
Yes, he did it. He got Donkey Kong did it.
Donkey Kong did the laugh, and like I was waiting. Like it was on my bingo checklist. I'm like, is this going to happen?
Yeah. Didn't happen.
Thank
didn't
God
happen.
it
Yeah.
didn't happen.
But what did happen was we got a close-up view of the nipple piercings from.
That was
Bebop.
That threw me off a little bit.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what am I looking at right now?
Yeah.
But I thought it was cool, man. I liked it. But Bebop and Rocksteady, I do feel like I wanted more from them. That would probably be one of my few gripes I had with the movie. But Superfly. I thought it was interesting the way they went about it because, like, from what I've seen in every iteration of Turtles, like Baxter becomes Superfly.
Yeah.
But this one is Baxter creates Superfly.
And I thought like with that as well, like one of my gripes was like Baxter dying, or I mean, you didn't see him die,
Right.
In most of the iterations, like he's a a big
formidable.
deal.
Yeah, he's big.
You know, like through the IDW like the comics, like he's all the way through it.
Yeah.
So that I thought that was a weird choice. I don't know if he stays.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna. It probably is gonna stay, to be honest with you. But it took me for a loop because it was Giancarlo Esposito was voicing him, and like he is a mega like that guy, like villain, and to just have him down and out.
Screen time was
screen time
short.
was very short.
Yeah.
The first the prologue, that was it.
Yeah.
But I think Superfly Ice Cube, I think he did
was
a
great.
phenomenal job. Like
He was great.
Superfly as a villain was believable.
Yeah, like I think like you knew he's the villain.
Yeah.
But then like you don't really hate him until probably the end.
Yeah,
Until he really mutates.
Yeah, he becomes larger than life.
Yeah, I was like, this guy's kind of cool.
Yeah, and they did a good job of the reveal too. Like, they just kept mentioning Superfly,
Yeah.
like the news clips of the breakings, burglaries, and then all of a sudden, like you see the truck get picked up in wings, but you don't see him, and then he's introduced in full fashion at the meetup.
Yeah.
And dude, when they come rolling into those cars, man, I enjoyed that. I really did. And Superfly's car, actually, I wouldn't mind having myself. To be honest with you.
Definitely. Yeah, he rolled out of that, like him and all his boys. I was like, this is pretty cool.
Yeah. And they got their shot of like all the villains like lined up in a row. And
Yep.
the turtles were like they like what is going on right now?
Yeah, they knew at that point like they were way in over their heads.
Yeah. So I think the villains. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the villains. More Bebop and Rocksteady. That's the only thing I'm going to stand on. That's the only ground I'm going to stand on.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. But I enjoyed Jackie Chan as Splinter, man.
I think his was like that was probably my biggest surprise in all of it because like I said I didn't watch too much of the trailers, but like in most of the stuff the clip you see is him with the fro.
Yes.
And like I was like that's kind of a strange take, and it's a quick clip.
It is.
So like you just assume like he's just got a massive afro, like is he stuck in like the 70s? But like I really like the dad version. Like he was fully dad in this one.
Yes, which funny you mention that because like him being a dad was the main focus of that character in this one. But then when he fought, like you already knew he was a badass. Like you already knew because he's Splinter, right? But they didn't really focus on him being the master that he is. Yeah. They really played on the father aspect of it, which I did enjoy seeing that side of Splinter because normally he's more like that overseeing like master who you have to like
very calm.
Respect and calm and you don't really cross him. But then when they were sneaking around, like you kind of felt like, oh man, that's their dad. Like
he's home alone.
Yeah, and the disappointment when they left after the surprise party, like it hits a little bit harder.
Yeah, because I know one day like I'm gonna be there. Oh, as the dad.
You're a few years away, man.
Yeah,
like it's
very shortly.
Yeah, me too. Trust me, I believe it. And you're gonna feel it as a dad. You're gonna be like, okay, they have their own lives now and they're living their thing. But and then when April came back. Yep. It's like, oh, the boys are back. Like the excitement and joy on his face. Like they came back to celebrate with me. And then, gosh, dude, you felt that as a father as well. So
I did love his, just like through one of the transition scenes, like he kind of had that like dirty dad, like 80s dad look.
Yes.
Like I thought that was really cool because like I know, like looking back at pictures of my dad, like there's times when I'm like, oh, you look nasty. Like you had a mustache and like. But I think like almost everyone's dad through the 80s went through that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know? Yeah. And so like seeing him go through like this awkward looking like nasty phase, I was like, that's pretty cool.
I remember seeing my dad's nasty mustache, man.
Yeah.
Like you're like, what in the world are you doing?
Yeah, but that's an awesome Splinter.
Yeah. There you go. He fits in. And the fact that they had the martial arts videos that they were using too.
Yeah.
It was I enjoyed watching the montage of them training to those like old school videos too, and it was enjoyable. And to think about this though, like it seemed like Splinter and the Turtles were kind of going through at the same time, but he obviously is teaching them at the same time. But normally the iterations that I know of is like Splinter was always like that guy. And
I was about to ask you like what's your favorite origin story? Because
it's been a few different ones.
Because
right?
that to me, I was wanting to see what that looked like in this one, and I do think they did a good job. Mm-hmm. Like I enjoyed the amount of FaceTime that you got with like the little turtles.
Yeah,
probably more than almost any of them in the past.
Yeah,
at least movie wise. I thought they did well with that. The animation of them, they looked awesome.
Yes.
But yeah, what's your favorite origin story?
I mean, I feel like it's got to go back to my nostalgia with the Secret of the Ooze and the first one. Like, I feel like that is kind of how I play out the origin story in my head. Like,
So that's the secret. Oh, that's the rat.
yes,
That was the pet of Hamato Roshi.
yes, that's the one.
Yoshi. Okay.
Yes, and
then
so
he
he
gets
was
in the
he was
ooze.
watching. Yes,
That's right.
and then he gets in the ooze.
Okay.
So
Because like the original, the TV series, it was Hamato Yoshi himself got in the
ooze and turned into the rat. Yeah, and I preferred the rat just because it you kind of bonded because the turtles they were the turtles turning into the Ninja Turtles.
Yep.
So it only made sense that the rat would go through the process rather than Yoshi going through it himself.
Yeah.
So that was my ideal origin story.
Yeah. I think my favorite is the IDW, the comics.
Yeah.
The different one of the reincarnation of them being feudal Japan and then, Shredder killing all five of them. And then they come back. Like, I get like why most people wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
It's just different.
It is.
And like what it's done through the comics in that point, like there's just a lot of backstory that comes with that one.
Yeah, and I feel like they developed Splinter really well in that storyline as well.
Yeah.
So this is a new generation, and they're doing it how they want to, and I'm fine. I feel like every story deserves a facelift every once in a while.
Yeah,
and
I
I'm
thought
okay
this
with
one
that.
was great.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
Played down the middle.
And I think I know my son. He was watching. I think the newer animated show that's out. Let's see. It's probably like 5 years old by now or something like that. But the way they did the origin was. I mean, obviously, they did the rat turning into the mutant, but the turtles were still little.
Okay.
And there was a scene in it on how like Raphael has a scar now, like on his shell, like his shell's broken. There's a whole scene in the subway where they're chasing down Splinter because they see that he's a mutant and they're trying to get their hands on him. And the turtles are trying to be protected by Splinter. And he's like fighting them. Splinter's fighting them, but he's not like fully trained yet. Like he's still like knows how to fight. But then there's a scene where he's dropping each turtle along the way, like just to kind of save them, but they're going through trials as they're being dropped. And Raphael gets dropped in like a harsh way, like by a train, and it's like almost about to get hit, and his shell breaks in the front.
Oh, wow.
And for the rest of the series, he has like a scar by his shell.
That's pretty cool.
And I thought that was like just an overall cool opening for the characters, a beginning, I guess I should say. So
this one was more cute.
It was.
The turtle like scooting up to him and like I love the
nudging him.
Yeah, like him. He did look like Ratatouille, so I thought that was an awesome call. Like
dude,
he name called him Ratatouille.
We can go like I think the rest of this pod will probably talk about every single reference they made in pop culture. Like there were so many. Like when they dropped the Avengers Infinity War Endgame or whatever. Like I was like, what?
Yeah,
they got some.
I'm like, do you have the rights to that? That's what I was wondering.
I thought that too. And the flying Shreks or whatever. I'm like,
that was great.
Every reference was known to man. But you mentioned the young turtles, Raphael, like him being like the bigger, bulkier, like, dude, I enjoyed seeing their individual selves. Like Michelangelo was a little bit more on the smaller stature, bigger head. Raphael was the beefier one, and then Donatello and Leonardo kind of had a more of a similar build.
Yeah.
But their shading and color was different, which I enjoyed that too.
Yeah, I like the like the turtles when they're like the different colors.
Yeah.
Like if you look back to like the original one, like I mean they're drastically different, but I thought this one was good. Like as far as how they played each one, and then the personalities themselves.
Yes.
I think they did differentiate between all of them, but they didn't play them to extremes.
Yeah.
That was one I wrote down was like one of my favorite things is like they were all individual, but none of them were like, like Leonardo was like, hey, I'm the leader. I'm the leader. Like it was just implied, and I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, and he earned it towards the end, which was great.
Yeah.
They were kind of like, oh look, he's our leader. Like they mentioned, they were like kind of joking about it through the whole entire thing. Like his confidence was not there. And then at the end, like Raphael actually, like he's giving orders to the final fight, and he's like, dude, you're a leader now.
Yeah.
Like I'm listening to you. Like,
and then he blew it by like, overreacting. It was great.
Gotta love it, man.
Yeah.
But I think, oh shoot, man, where was I gonna? Raphael and Michelangelo. Those two have always been like favorites of mine
Yeah.
growing up. Just it's like Raphael 1, Michelangelo 2 for me personally. Where are you at with them?
Same
Okay.
order. Same order.
Cool. And then when it goes to Donatello and Leonardo, I can go back and forth for days on them. But I was hyper focused on Raphael and Michelangelo in this one, and the only disappointment I have is that Michelangelo never rode a skateboard in this movie, and I was a little pissed off about it.
Did he really not?
He did not. If I'm mistaken, it might have been for like 2 seconds, but I'm pretty sure he did not.
What? Didn't he pick up one in like the rubble?
I didn't see him ride. I didn't see him ride it.
I gotta watch it again.
Yeah, I don't know. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I don't think he rode a skateboard in this entire movie.
You may be.
Yeah,
you may be right.
It's just something natural that you expect is for him to ride a skateboard, but it didn't happen. And so
I did like the braces. He had braces.
Yes.
It was like very subtle. Mm-hmm. You couldn't just like see him like blaring the whole time, but like
you could tell
it played into like the teenage portion.
Yeah. So that was probably another gripe of mine because I said I'm hyper focused on those two characters, and honestly, I feel like if they were gonna go overboard on one thing like to the extreme, it should have been like their love for pizza, and that wasn't really. Yes, they had pizza at every second, but like Michelangelo is obsessed with pizza.
Yeah.
Like in the comic books, in the shows, in the older movies, like you usually get a scene of him just be like, "Oh, dude, I gotta get my pizza."
Yeah.
Like that's where it's at.
And I mean, how awesome is it for like Pizza Hut? They've been they've been like their sponsor since the second movie, I think.
Yeah.
Like the first movie, I think was Domino's, and then after that, I mean, like it's been only Pizza Hut, and like you could see it in here. I think it's like one of the only things that's like actually branded.
Yeah, branded product placement.
Yeah, it looked great.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad. And Pizza Hut, they did a actual sponsorship, so you could have like this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle like sewer shell manhole cover shaped pizza or something like that with like design on it and everything. Yeah,
I saw people like on the Reddit page that are like selling their Pizza Hut shirts that like work there because they all have like branded ones.
That's awesome.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Let's see. What was something else that kind of stood out to you where you were like, okay, that's what I like. That's the Turtles that I really was looking forward to.
I would probably say I don't know. I like the interaction between all of them, and then their interaction with April. I thought April was great.
Yeah.
That was one of the bigger things. I was skeptical about like where they're gonna go. I thought April was awesome.
Yes, I enjoyed April 100%. They did something that I had not seen in any other iteration, and it was making her also a teenager. Like that usually is not the case. I'm trying to think of the comic books that did that. I don't think they did. Right? No. She's usually like early 20s, mid 20s, yeah. And she's a full-fledged like reporter, not a journalist, a reporter. But then this one she's a teenager and she is going through the exact same things that the Turtles are going through as far as
the throwing up.
Yes,
that was awesome.
The April O'Puke it was great. I enjoyed that.
And then like the Leo, like the love interest.
Yes, which the Turtles usually are crushing on her in every other iteration, but it actually, because they're all teenagers here, you're like, okay, all right, I can see that.
It's mostly like Michelangelo.
Yes.
And like all the other ones, like he's the flirty one, but
Leonardo,
that one surprised me. And I thought it was pretty, like I thought they played it well too.
Yeah. And the funny thing is like they did they actually played on the joke of when they were like writing names down. And he's like, "Oh, look, you're Leonardo." Like that was
good.
Yeah, that's good because that's kind of been something that you joked about with the Turtles, like either with friend groups or stuff like that. Like Michelangelo, like the whole splitting the names up. But dude, April O'Neil being kind of like a nerd picked on and that kind of stuff. It was cool to see, to be honest with you, and it kind of gave a new life to the character of April.
Yeah, and I think like where they kind of almost they play like they're gonna flip it, like she's gonna leave them, and then she goes and gets Splinter. Like, like she was really like once she was with them. Like she was with them, so they didn't try to mess with their relationship or anything like that. No fighting. Like I like that. I like seeing that because it wasn't adding like forced drama. Yeah,
exactly. That's a good point actually, because they usually try to put something between them for a little bit to get her mad at them or them mad at her. But they didn't. They didn't try that this time. And I thought voice actor did a good job too. She's kind of a newer up and comer. She was in a show that I'm currently watching right now called The Bear on FX.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that or not. But
I've seen, I think the first season.
Yeah.
I need to get on the second season.
yes, and she's a great job, great actress. And so I enjoyed seeing April. One thing I'm trying to think about was the overarching, like the female agent, like Cynthia, right? Is that her name?
Utron?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She's in the comics, right? Like I feel like she's in the comics. Like I don't remember seeing her in the shows.
I don't know. Like she doesn't like create that big of like a presence.
Because I'm trying to think, like, is she introduced in this movie? Like I feel like I should have done a little bit more research coming into this, but I don't remember seeing her in the original series.
So like her name, like does it come from the Utroms from Krang? Because like that's the race.
That's the race. But
so that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, is that just like a callback name?
I'll see. She looked kind of strange too, to be honest with you.
She did,
but I don't know. I was just trying to figure out if, like, for me, I was like, are they making this Krang? Like, is this going to be like, I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't know. That one was one to me that was a little bit weird. Like,
A little out of place.
I don't recall it.
I do remember the agency though. Like I think the agency's legit from the lore, but I'm trying to remember if that character in particular was.
Yeah, I don't recall.
Yeah. Okay, so that's that right there. Is just poor research on my fault, but no big deal. No big deal. But Maya Rudolph voiced her, and I think she did her what German accent? What kind of accent? Yeah,
I don't know what. It was good though.
It was good.
Good.
I enjoyed that, and I'm trying to think. So the finale fight scene. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I actually enjoyed the fact that the turtles were able to team up with the other mutants.
Yep.
Like that's not what I expected going into this movie at all.
Were the other? I know they didn't like play it as like the Mutanimals, like they call that group.
Yeah.
But like that's essentially like how I was seeing it.
Yeah,
like,
no. That's how I pictured it. That's I mean, it fit. Everything they did, it fit.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed that everybody had a role to play.
Even humans.
Yes.
I thought that.
Oh yeah, they got involved too. That's true.
I think that was like the kind of the best part. Like they got what they needed. I mean, it felt very. I guess like when the news turned on, it felt very like Peter Parker.
Yes. Oh,
you know,
yes.
J. Jonah Jameson, like calling him out on Times Square. Like I was getting those vibes.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh crap! Like they're going to do all this, and at the end, like I figured they would get their due. But I love how they flipped it before the fight was even over.
Yeah.
And so like the humans could help.
Joined in too. Yeah. That was actually. You felt the relief with them. Like we're actually going to fight this battle, and it's meaning something right now, rather than like we're just doing this to just obviously stop the villain, but we're going to get nothing in return, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Did you see who voiced the guy? I think like the main human that like helped him, that like ran the takeout food, like ran it to him. It was Mr. Beast.
Oh, what? Really?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting because I was looking at the cast because like we talked about, like, the cast was massive.
Mr.
So I looked
Beast.
on there, I was like, wait, why is he on here? And then it says like New York City guy. I was like, interesting.
Yeah. Huh? How about that? I didn't realize that. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, there was a lot of voices in this movie that I just didn't expect either. So, I like we mentioned Paul Rudd. I didn't expect Paul Rudd to be in it, but why not, right? Let's see. I know I mentioned a few things that I weren't particular about. What about you? Anything dislikes you had in this movie?
I think the biggest one, I like that they learn like ninjutsu from the videos. Like I thought that was funny. Like,
yes.
But it took away any kind of like Japanese past from it.
Very true. Good
but
point.
I mean, I'm not like a purist. Like it has to be. Like I get it. It's a cartoon.
Yeah.
But like that was one thing I just I enjoy about it is that, like there's deep ninjutsu. There's like ties to Japan and like all that. With this, there wasn't. I mean, like Splinter himself was just a straight up New York City rat.
Yeah.
So like, I think that was one that I wish would have been, a little bit deeper. But it was funny the way they played it. So like no problem there.
I think you're a good point. I think they executed it well, but if they didn't do that, then we might have a little more to say on that topic. But you're right. It kind of does take the Japanese aspect away from the characters a little bit.
Yeah, because I mean, you think about like where they're setting up for the second movie.
Yeah.
So like, what's their relationship to Shredder? There's not one.
Right.
Like, and there won't be one.
Well, yeah. As of right now, from what we've seen, unless they like rewrite Shredder's backstory.
Yeah, like maybe he was like a New York City pizza delivery guy. I don't know.
Yeah. Which you brought up Shredder. We do see, like, in the mid-credits scene, we do see Shredder at the end of that, which that was the first time it hit me. It was like, oh, did we just watch a Turtles movie with no Shredder in it? Like, and I enjoyed it. Like, Shredder has always been a fan favorite. He's one of my favorites as well. Just honestly, he might be one of the most like aesthetically pleasing villains of all time.
Yeah.
Like up there with Vader. Like,
oh yeah, definitely. I think he definitely gives off like Darth Vader vibes.
Oh, for sure. And like just the spikes and the helmets. Like, how could you not be on board with that?
I did like in like the early the first movie. Like, it was like this awesome helmet and spikes. And then he's got like a glittery like leotard.
Yes.
It's like, what is that? The Super Shredder was bad though, but like the first iteration is like, it's like they found all this awesome stuff and they're like, just throw pajamas on.
Just underneath, why not, right? Oh yeah, that's a good point. But so the hopes are now that the second one, Shredder, will be the main big bad. Which the way they kind of have this world set up, like there were some dark moments in this movie. Yeah, there were some very, very dark moments in the movie, and I feel like with Shredder coming into the second sequel of this, they could have some even more like pretty traumatic moments in here.
And I think like one thing I wrote down was like the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't too big. Yeah, like it was really like, it was something that actual teenagers, like their first fight, like they could handle. Like, it wasn't just like some massive undertaking.
Right.
So I think like just like with any other like series, like it can get darker.
Yeah.
And what I'd like to see is like, just like they did in this one with all the other mutants, like they can add in like other ones.
Yeah.
Like they add like Rat King. I would love to see like a play,
that would be
like
cool.
a Rat King. That'd be awesome.
Yes. Man, seeing that on the actual movie would be really fun. Really fun to see. Which
or Krang, like,
I feel like Krang, they attempted it in the second Michael Bay movie.
Yeah.
Krang is going to be difficult to pull off, I feel like.
Yeah. They probably won't even touch it, but
they might not. And if they do, I feel like it might be a build up. But I do enjoy Krang. I do. Big time. I mean, visually, I think Krang would work for this, the way the animated movie is.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
the visuals,
the animation was amazing.
Oh man, yeah. People are like really high on the animation, and they're comparing it to like the Spider-Verse kind of stuff. But I feel like I would compare it more to let's see, like the Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. I think it's more on that style, and I really enjoy it, man. It's looking pretty cool and crisp. I've enjoyed the change. Like, CGI went through this whole phase, like these movies of looking so realistic that you're kind of like, you see it's really not that appealing to you. Yeah. And then they go to like this boxy shape, and then now we're at this like hand-drawn like motion / like sketch of characters, but you can see like everything highlighted. Like, the emotions are highlighted based on like certain colors on the screen. Like, it was, I don't know, man. It's stunning. I truly believe it is stunning.
I thought like Spider-Verse is probably the closest comparable, but I think it was because like nobody had anything else to compare it to. Yeah. Because like, what would you compare the Spider-Verse to? Like, really nothing.
Yeah.
So like, I think that's what people did with this one. Mm-hmm. So like in Spider-Verse, you've got a million different things kind of flying at you, and the colors and tones changing, which is awesome. Yes. With this, they didn't do so much of it, but like I remember at one point looking at the front of, I think they were driving a bus. Yeah. And like just seeing like the colors, it was like a kid had drawn the crown marks on the front. And I was like, that looks awesome. Yeah. Because it like fills in, but it doesn't. So I thought that the animation was perfect. Yeah, and you a great point you made, because you said it's like it's colored in, but it's not. Like, if you notice, like Superfly being a villain, obviously it looked like the colors were bolder and like kind of inconsistent a little bit too. Like you were coloring angry, like that kind of thing. That visual, right? But then, whereas the turtles and the good, like they look like they were like colored as they were supposed to, but then obviously when they faced like doubt or some sort of emotional turmoil, you kind of saw a little bit of a shake, or like the color was not as sharp, and I feel like
man, the emotions you convey to complement the story through the animation is really kicked up a gear in these movies.
What'd you think about the soundtrack?
Oh,
Like,
dude.
I thought that was really good. Like, there was
Yes.
some actual really good songs in it.
Yes, I caught myself bobbing a few times, man.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, okay, I'm digging it, man. I'm digging this music. And with a villain like Ice Cube, I mean, how could you flop on the soundtrack, man? Like Ice Cube is a lot of huge songs in my life growing up has been some Ice Cube songs. So
Yeah, I thought soundtrack was solid. I love that, like, you know, even in like one of the first trailers, it was like the subtle, like just the keys, like on piano playing the original theme song. And then like through this, there was some like bigger songs that were in big moments.
Yeah.
Like that, you know, I mean, I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. And obviously we mentioned earlier about the Vanilla Ice, Go Ninja. Gosh, dude, that was
the callback. That was great.
They let it play for a little while too. Like it was like a good maybe like 8 seconds, 10 seconds, which I think gave it its due. And then they just crash into it. And another thing, we're getting ready to close to wrapping up here. Another thing I really, really enjoyed was the montage of them stopping all of the little crime lords that they were talking about. And it was kind of their awakening as being like quote unquote crime fighters. And it was, I think, 5 families, I believe it was. And just doing the montage of them fighting each family and
just flowing into the next.
And not only that, but their personalities really coming out and them really seeing the good that they can do. I really enjoyed seeing that. But I am chuckle of the little things. And when they captured one family head, they're like, oh, it's this guy you want to talk to. And then they did that for like 3 times, and then they got to the main person and he ratted out.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, it was me.
Yeah, exactly. Which was, oh man, I enjoyed that little kind of bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, pop culture references everywhere throughout this entire movie. I mean, like I said, I mentioned the Avengers. I'm trying to think of some of the ones that really stood out to me. Like
you mentioned Shrek.
Yep, that's another one that stood out to me. I'm telling you, like it was insane. Like there was so much. Oh, Ferris Bueller.
The Ferris Bueller, the like just the live action right there in front of you.
Actual movie. They're watching it. But I thought it was funny. Like they were talking about going back to high school.
Ratatouille was another one.
Yes, that's right. Ratatouille.
Threw out there.
They were talking about going back to high school. It was like, yeah, we can be like just like Ferris. Like that's like that was the standard for high school students for them, and which was completely like the opposite. Like it's more so unrealistic. Like Ferris Bueller's high school, being a high school student.
He's like, I want a parade of my own. Like
yes, just like Ferris Bueller. But yeah, so I really enjoyed this movie. I really did. Yeah. And I'm very, very excited to see what's coming next and how they're going to keep the story going. Could this be like another trilogy, or I don't know? Like
I hope so.
How far will it go?
Like they had to have paid a ton of money for it.
Yeah.
Because like for me, I remember hearing, years ago, like, have you heard like Seth Rogen's doing a Ninja Turtle movie?
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then like the more I thought about it, it's like, this has to be something he really cares about.
Yeah, he's backing it. Yeah,
he's backing it, and like he's in it, he's producing like everything. So like it has to mean something. I'm like, there's no way he screws this up.
Yeah, and honestly, he's like the right age to be influenced by the original like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
It's had to affect his childhood, and it's near and dear to his heart. And so it's funny. You actually let people who actually care about the product make the movie, and it turns out well. Huh? Shocker, right?
I know, right? Yeah, and I'm really hoping for a trilogy. Like,
yeah,
I think that they'll have a hard time just announcing that straight up.
Yeah,
but I mean, obviously they already set up a second, so why not?
Yeah. What if they showed Shredder at the end of this one, right? But what if Shredder's not the bad in the other one? He's just in the background,
like
right?
Pulling strings.
He's kind of like when Thanos was first introduced in the Avengers, right? Like Thanos was a post-credit scene.
That's true.
You didn't see him again. What if we do get somebody like the Rat King in the second one, right?
I wouldn't mind seeing like Karai, like his granddaughter.
Yeah.
Like let her have a go at it for the second one.
That's a great
point.
point.
And then like him step in the third. I think that would be bad.
That would be pretty awesome. Actually.
Because like what they did in the first trilogy, like. They had him for the first one.
Yeah.
Then they had him for the second one, and they killed him off.
Yeah.
And then they just screwed the whole third one up
completely.
So
yeah, you couldn't really bring him back after that one.
Yeah.
I've actually, you know what? This would lead to a good question. What do we want to see in future? Obviously, we talked about Shredder, we talked about Rat King, but like, is there anything else that you in the turtle lore that you want to see come out in the second, possible third movie? or building of the franchise? I know I'm just kind of throwing that on you right here, last minute.
Yeah. I guess for me, like, I'd like for it to all stay in New York. I know that's a very small one, but like,
Yeah.
you know, in the original movies, like they went to Japan. And
Yeah,
it was just
exactly.
kind of threw it off. I don't mind when they went to the farm and stuff like that with April. So I think they could kind of, as long as they kept it like local.
Yeah.
That's something I'd like to see. And then I'm slipping on their names, but like the aliens. From the original.
Oh, shoot, man.
Like it's a
specific.
you know what I'm talking about.
I know
Like
exactly what you're talking
they've
about.
got the cool glasses.
Yep.
They've got the flying cars. They're from the same place.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Fugitoids. I'd like to see Fugitoid.
Yes.
Fugitoid. That'd be awesome.
That would be, and actually, if they happen,
Yeah.
then that would make Krang a little bit more like
That's true. That's true.
come into play. I feel like.
Yeah.
Which obviously, I mean, yeah, Krang. I want to see that 100%.
Or Casey Jones.
That's where I was going next.
Casey Jones.
Casey Jones.
That's the final answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Final
Good.
answer.
Perfect. For me, Casey Jones like has always been awesome. Like
Yeah.
he's like, honestly, it's like Raph, Mikey, Casey Jones,
Yeah.
and then Leonardo and the rest of them. But he's got to be done well too, because I feel like they kind of dropped the ball in the other animated movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't really feeling him in that one, but I did enjoy him in the original movies. In the original ones.
Yeah. He was great in that.
Yeah.
Well, he was great in the first one. In the third one, he was.
No, not the third one. Yeah.
Well,
But the
there's
first,
not a third
yes. Yeah, we just try not to acknowledge that one. But I enjoyed Stephen Amell, Green Arrow, playing him in the Michael Bay ones.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that. I'm a huge fan of Green Arrow. So, yeah, you got to execute Casey Jones. If you're bringing Casey Jones in this, you got to be voiced by somebody so cool, like so cool.
Yeah, I think like the way they did it in the comics, like he's great. He's right alongside them. The whole like they played off like him and Raph, like being vigilantes. Like I thought that was awesome.
Yeah,
and like his relationship with his dad, like all that stuff. I don't need all that background.
Yeah,
but like just a badass Casey.
Yes,
Jones.
exactly.
That's just what I need.
Yeah, I think we all need a little bit of that in our life.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's on my bucket list for what I want to see from the future.
That's a good one. You led me to that one. That was good. That was good.
All right. So, any final thoughts on Mutant Mayhem or Ninja Turtles in general?
No, man, I'm excited. I'm gonna go see it again.
Yeah.
Honestly, we were talking. I'm going to take my kids. It was
Yeah.
one of those. I wasn't worried about taking my kids to it, but like it was one I wanted to watch by myself for the first time.
Yeah. Your kids ask a lot of questions like mine. Mine are like,
Yeah.
what's going on? What's that? Was that?
Oh
was
yeah,
that?
yeah. Like who's that?
Yeah.
Is that Ninja Turtle? Like, yes.
Yeah. And so, like, when I saw Spider-Verse, I always go to see it by myself
Yeah.
first, and then I take the kids in it because they ask a ton of questions in
Yeah.
Spider-Verse. I'm like,
You're like, I don't know what's going on.
exactly. Exactly. You're like, let me watch it first so I can actually get the cheat
Yeah.
sheet, and then I'll tell you what's going on.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna go watch it again.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I've been waiting for it.
Yeah.
For so long, and so, but yeah, I'm excited for where they're going with the franchise.
Yeah. What do you off topic here? Well, kind of on topic, but off topic. But what are your thoughts of Netflix potentially doing a Last Ronin series?
Oh man, I just got chills when you said that. Last Ronin is awesome.
Yes, it is.
And I think like if you read the comics and then, in the original the Mirage comics and the IDW comics, like there's cussing, there's blood, there's death.
It's way more intense,
way darker. So if they decided, well, they did. Did they just?
Well, they're officially doing a Last Ronin video game. They're officially doing that.
Who is it that's producing it?
It is the same ones that are doing. I'm pretty sure it's the same people who do God of War. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I might be mistaken.
Yeah.
I might be mistaken, but it's a huge company. Huge.
Yeah.
But I know the video game is 100% confirmed.
Yeah.
But Netflix had mentioned picking up the storyline for the Last Ronin, which
And they should, because it's an awesome storyline. And I think they could go a lot of places with it, because like with this, you're hitting nostalgia for us. But then also like my kids can go watch this. Like we said, like the language wasn't bad in this one. Iffy. But with that one, like I'm not letting my kids watch that.
No.
But it's
if
it'll
they
be
do
good
it right.
for
If they do it right.
If they do it right and they don't whip out on it, like I think it could be really cool.
Yeah, and if you guys don't know what the Last Ronin story is, you need to look it up, because it is intense. It is absolutely intense, and it's a story that you would not expect to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to go through, and it's
the call. Well, it's the bring back of Laird and Eastman from the original
yes.
Mirage comics, and like it's them finishing off their story.
Yeah.
Which they said that like after like I guess like 13 editions of the issues of the first one, like they had this idea in their mind that this is where it would end, but that's been like 30 years ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But dang, dude, I would be really excited. We will definitely be discussing that when it comes out, or if it comes out. All right, so cool. All right, well, all that being said, Jordan, thank you so much for joining me.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You are welcome back anytime. I promise you that. So, to all our listeners, make sure you go check us out on social medias. You can follow us at Royal Geek Pod. We would love to interact and engage with you. So feel free to hit us up, comment, and DM us. We'll have any geek conversation you want to have. So, for Jordan and myself, Sandy, we appreciate you guys so much for listening, and we will see you next time, you peasants.